Welcome to Answering the Call, the official podcast of the 12th Man Foundation. Our show brings you closer to the heart of Texas A&M athletics through powerful stories of perseverance, purpose, and life-changing opportunities made possible by 12th Man Foundation donors. From student athletes and coaches to former students and dedicated staff, you'll hear firsthand how donor support shapes the lives of Aggie student athletes in competition and beyond. Whether you're a lifelong Aggie or simply curious about what makes Texas A&M so special, you're in the right place. Let's dive into today's episode. Howdy, and welcome back to another episode of Answering the Call podcast, the official podcast of the 12th Man Foundation. This is your host, Ivy Robinson, and I am sitting in studio today with Texas A&M men's basketball head coach, Bucky McMillan. Coach, thank you so much for joining us on the show today.
Howdy. Glad to be here.
Coach, okay, I've got to know, now that you've had some time in the role, has the reality of being head coach finally set in yet?
I think it set in probably the second I was hired when we got here with no players on the team. And we had to field a team in about a month. And so if it didn't set in quickly, we may not have had a season. So it set in pretty quickly, but it's been getting better and better. I tell you, the people of College Station have been great. And just the support here has been even better than I thought. Mm-hmm. And I expected great support because all the good things that I've heard, and it's been fantastic.
That's awesome to hear. And I want to ask you a little bit later about just the roster and that period of time and building that team. But I've got to ask this fun question really quick. Be honest with us. How does Texas barbecue compare to barbecue in Alabama? What are your honest thoughts?
Alabama's big on barbecue where I'm from.
Right.
And I know Texas has the best barbecue. I do know that. We've been to some barbecue places.
Okay. What's your favorite?
I don't know the name of it. I just know that there is a huge area. So I don't know the names of everything around here.
Yeah, I still learn it. Yeah.
But I know it's a big area on the inside that's really spread out. That's what I can tell you. And we went there, and I really liked it.
Oh, I know exactly where Cooper's. I think it was Cooper's Barbecue.
Cooper's. Yeah.
Big open area, lots of like booths, and then you go up and you order, and they slice it right there for you. Yeah, Cooper's Barbecue.
Hold up. Cooper's?
Yes, Cooper's Barbecue.
Thank you, because I wanted to know that. I'm plugging my phone right now. I wanted to know, because I plug all the places I hear about in my phone, and some I've gone to and some I forgot the name of.
Yeah,
Cooper's. You're getting a free advertisement right here. It's really good. Really good
free
barbecue. Free
endorsement right there. Yeah, well, I know. So, like, someone told me, and it's been a while. I've never been to Alabama. Now, I had barbecue when I went to Nashville, Tennessee one time, and I know they're very big in Tennessee on their pork barbecue. Is that how it is in Alabama as well, or do they also like brisket as well?
They like brisket. They have both. But the thing in Alabama, they have the white sauce. And everyone out here, when I say about white sauce, they don't know what that means. And so,
yeah, what is that?
It's like they have two types of sauce, white barbecue sauce and then the traditional.
Interesting. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Well, Coopers, if you're listening, maybe you need to try out some white barbecue sauce.
Coopers, if you're listening, don't change a thing.
All right, well, enough talk about barbecue. Let's get on to the real questions about basketball and what I know our listeners are going to want to hear. So, Coach, can you take us back really quick? I want to address a little bit of your background. Can you take us back to the Mountain Brook days in Alabama and tell us about what it was like growing up in Mountain Brook?
Yeah, so I grew up in a community that a lot of people there are very successful, I would say that. And, I grew up there and I was one of the few people, maybe the only person that dreamed of playing college basketball. Alabama, big football state, baseball was important. Kind of basketball is something you do in between football and baseball. And I played every sport coming up, love baseball, love football. And then, I realized, okay, I love basketball the most. I'm going to really have to hone in and try to make it in basketball. And I was probably one of the first from my community to ever say that, right? And so I spent pretty much every waking hour figuring out how I'm going to become a Division I basketball player. And, that's what I was known for in that community because it was different, right? Some places, if I'd said I'm going to try to become a Division I baseball player, I may have been just another guy. Or a football player, I may have been just another guy. But for basketball, it was kind of unique. And so I went on that journey right there in Mountain Brook, and then I went and played Division I basketball, and I came back and coached in that community. Mm-hmm. And it was a great time because I got to see it full circle when I grew up there in second grade and all the way through high school, trying to make basketball popular. And then when we came back, we took a program as a coach that was not great on a state level, made them great on a national level, and basketball became very popular there. And so it was looked at the same way you look at baseball and football. Like just, hey, this is a very cool sport to play. And it was special to me because I grew up there. Mm-hmm. And when I would drive through the villages and you'd see everybody with a basketball in their hand and we wore these neon shirts, you're like, okay, this is what it's about. Not that we're good. It just became popular. And here at Texas A&M, every sport here is great.
Right.
And we're going to do a great job of not just being good, but like we're going to make our brand very popular and fun for the fans when they come to the games, just like we did in high school and at my last spot at Sanford.
Mm-hmm. Okay, tell us about your own experience, because you were a student athlete yourself at Birmingham Southern. Tell us about those days and like what you learned as a student athlete yourself that now you apply to your coaching and instruction today.
Good question. So I think, backing it up, I think the two biggest lessons I've learned in my life was in the best classroom of all, which is athletics. I learned more in that classroom than any other class. And I mean, and I have a great father. My dad is my guy, right? That is my dude. And I tell you, when I was like in the second grade, I told him, hey, I watched the movie Pistol Pete. And for those that are listening, like Pistol Pete, he's out there and he's shooting in the rain and he's practicing in the rain. He just pretty much outworks everybody. So I was like, he's spinning the ball on his finger in the movie over and over. And I thought it was so cool as a second grader. So I asked my dad, I said, how can I do that? And like, my dad's like my hero. So I'm like, well, how can I do it? So anything he tells me, I'm going to believe. He's like, well, if you spend 2 hours every day this week doing it for 2 hours, can't be less, by the end of the week, you'll be able to do it. And like, you're in second grade, your fingers are like, miniature crayons, right?
Right.
And
right.
so I do this, and the first day, you can't even put it on your finger. Like, it's just falling right off. Second day, maybe a little more. Third day, a little more. But anyway, long story short, somehow you figure it out. And then by the end of the week, you went from something that seemed impossible to you are doing it for minutes at a time. And so right there, I learned the most valuable lesson that anyone can ever learn, that anything can be accomplished through hard work, right? Mm-hmm. That's the first thing that I learned, and I learned that from my father through athletics, right? And that's something that we obviously pour right into our players because that changed my life right then. And I knew that if I was going to make it in basketball or anything, I had to put in a lot of work. And then the second greatest lesson was years later because I told my dad at the time I want to play Division I basketball. And so he's like, what's the same thing? You got to do 2 hours of basketball every day. So like all the way up, 2 hours of basketball, 2 hours of basketball. Hey, Christmas Eve, after you're out there, getting out there, you're in the cold. But he knew like when I was going into like the 7th grade or so that I was missing something. And he realized I was missing something to make it. And so one summer, like starting June 1st, he knew that I had to get an edge to me in a way. And so he would take me, starting June 1st, he said, hey, listen, I'm going to take you somewhere where you're going to play this summer. And it's going to really help you out. And so he would drop me off at this gym where the best pickup games there were. The only guy that looked like me over there, right? 50 players over there, and they're all men, 18 and up. I'm like 13 years old. Mm-hmm. And I go over there, and he drops me off and says, so he drops me up at 10 o'clock. So I'll pick you up at 5. So I was like, all right. So I go in there, I go try to play, say, can I play? You're kind of shy. And they're like, man, you're not playing. Man, you're not playing in this game, bro. What are you doing? And you're just kind of like, okay, I can't play? Like, no, you're not playing, dude. And so
my gosh.
Yes. Yeah. So you just go over there and you sit, can't get on the floor, maybe shoot in between games at 5 o'clock. This is no cell phones, no nothing.
Right, you're stuck there.
You're stuck.
Yeah.
So he picks me back up at 5. And like, how'd it go? They wouldn't let me play. I said, okay, we'll be back tomorrow. June 2nd, drops me back off. Same deal, trying to play. But you're like, hey, come on, man, let me play. You just sit there, and start burning a little bit. June 3rd, same deal, not playing. So you go drop me off the next day and said, hey, he said, we'll be back tomorrow. He drops me off like June 4th. And he's like, hey, do you want to come in and help me play? He's like, nah, you're just going to end up sitting there all summer, I guess. So eventually on that day, you just get up and you're just like, I'm playing. Y'all going to play with 11. I'm not getting off the floor. Y'all can play around me. Around me, but I'm playing. I'm not getting off this floor and like trying to push you off the floor. Like, I'm staying on the floor. And eventually they said, all right, we'll let you play. And when I got to play in the game, I got to play the rest of the summer and every summer after that. But the lesson that I learned that he was teaching me and his genius was, if you don't believe in yourself, nobody's going to believe in you. And so the two greatest lessons that I learned was hard work pays off. And if you don't believe in yourself, no one's going to believe in you. And so in our pillars in our program, when we went to Sanford, and then where I was coaching Mount Brook, and then Sanford, then here, is always hard work. And then you got to be unselfish, and you got to be fearless. And we've instilled that in our players, and we've had tremendous success. I know I got way off topic. You asked me about
No, this is great.
I know you asked me about Birmingham Southern, but it was the same deal there.
Yeah.
Because there was a lesson I learned there when I went to was a freshman there. I worked really hard to get there, and it was struggle as a freshman. I was like, man, I put my whole life into this thing.
Right.
What do? It's not working out the way I wanted. I mean, should I turn back? How could I turn back now? But I was able to reflect on those lessons.
Mm-hmm.
What could I base my experience on? Was hard work and believing in yourself. And I kept reminding myself of that. And even though I was a freshman, I didn't play. By junior, I played more than everybody on the team when I was at Birmingham Southern. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't have done that if I didn't learn those lessons through athletics, and I wouldn't have done that if I didn't have a coach in my father to teach me that. And so when I coach, sure, I think it's the most effective way to win games, but it's the most effective way to change lives. Because now when they leave our program, I want these players to have a certain edge and swagger and belief in themselves, not just because they believe it, but because they've worked so dang hard that they know they can accomplish it and that they deserve it. And that's kind of how we've built it everywhere we've been, and we'll build it here the same way.
Yeah. I mean, man, thank you for sharing the story. I mean, I think that's so interesting how your dad he was like, you're going to do this, and you're going to learn it or learn it the hard way, and you're going to give the effort and give 110% and go all in basketball and make everyone know in that gym, like, hey, I deserve to be on this court.
And make you learn that, look, there's no bailouts. You got to do it yourself, right? You know, like, you got to do it. Like, he could have easily come in there and negotiated his son in the game and all that. He could have came in and watched, drop you off.
Yeah, because he wanted you to take that initiative, right?
Wanted me to, hey, don't matter if I believe in you. You got to believe in you.
Right.
And I just remember that carried with me. It was very important for my life.
You know, I've heard in a different interview you have done that, you say, I've been a head coach my whole life. I mean, what was going through your mind? Because you made the very rare jump from high school head coach to collegiate head coach at Sanford, and now here you are at Texas A&M. How do you think that has given you a competitive edge?
Well, that's all I've done is coach basketball from the head coach's standpoint. So I would say that if you looked at all the NCAA coaches, you had all the games they've coached in their lives, if not number one, I'd be in the top 5 that are of active coaches. Because when you're coaching high school, you're coaching the varsity, the JV, the night. We had our program all the way down to second grade. We'd play, 120 games in the summer with all these teams and then 100 in the season. So that's what I got to do. And there's been great coaches that come from different backgrounds. Let me just say that. But a lot of times in college, what will happen is you'll go as a kind of a GA, you work your way up to an operations role, then maybe an assistant, and you're not really coaching. Then all of a sudden you get your first big job at a Texas A&M, and you've never called a timeout during a game, right? And so even before I was coaching JV and varsity basketball, I was coaching AAU basketball. I was playing college basketball. So I've seen it. I'm comfortable doing it. I love doing it. And I think there's certain intangibles that experience just really helps you with. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Speaking of intangibles and kind of going back, let's talk about the recruitment process here at Texas A&M. And you hit the ground running literally when you were hired here at Texas A&M. What are the intangibles that you look for in players?
Yeah, it's a great question. You got to have players that are really competitive. So, like, we keep track in our locker room, like, of wins and losses for every drill, for every player. So, like, everyone's name will be up there when we get here, when we're here in the fall, we're practicing. And every drill has winners and losers. And we keep the whole season up there. And it tells a telling story. Because they'll be on different teams throughout the year. And if somebody's winning 70% of the time, and there'll be thousands of drill winners throughout the year. Someone's winning 30% of the time, Usually there's a reason for that. And I think that sometimes people can get enamored with just talent and don't know, is this player a winner or not? And the deal is, like, you can take sometimes less talented players, but they end up being better players because they have winning intangibles. So competitiveness, if you're not a competitor, then you don't care if you win or lose, right? I mean, you don't care. So you got to find those that they're very competitive. And I think that's first. There's certain attributes we look for in our system that could be different than others. We value shooting. We value hard playing. We value unselfish players. I value passing, players who can see the game. And I've always been a coach that, like, I don't need someone to hold my hand during recruiting. Like, I don't need someone to tell me, well, this guy's the seventh best player in the country. Like, well, this guy's ranked the 100th, 11th, and I promise you, at the end of the day, this 100th, 11th player in the country will help us more than this seventh best player. And I think we've had success because we've trusted our gut on that, on winners.
Right.
And now, having said that, you want competitive players because they care about winning and losing. But once we have them all here, we don't really talk too much about winning and losing. The result of all of our goals will end up being winning. But our goals are to outwork everybody, to be unselfish in every way, and to be fearless when we play, right? Mm-hmm. So, like, that's what we do. You attract great personnel, you develop it, and then you work as hard as you can, play as hard as you can. You're all together, and you play fearless. And then you kind of sprinkle the X and O's in as you go. But that's what we need to focus on, not the what, like, at the end of the day, but how are we going to do it? Mm-hmm. And so we don't talk a lot about winning and losing. Our goal won't be to win a game this year. Our goal won't be to win an Addy, right? That will be a result that we'll accomplish in time. Mm-hmm. Our goal will be to win this day and know that how are we going to win our league, right? Well, this is how you do it, is that you got to have, the strength coach has got to do the best job today and beat every other strength coach across the SEC today.
Yep.
Right? Our recruiters got to beat every other recruiter in the SEC today. Our GAs got to beat every other GA. Our restroom and our locker room needs to look the cleanest and coolest, right? And then you'll have great results.
Yeah, because if you're achieving excellence at every single level, I mean, how could the results not be incredible?
That's exactly right.
Okay, we've talked a lot about just working extremely hard, putting in the effort. I've seen on men's basketball social media, y'all have been doing some workouts, okay, like running the activation tower ramps at Kyle Field and doing some workouts in sand volleyball courts at the rec. Tell us about the progress of the team so far, because I know y'all are in this training preparation stage for the season, but how have those workouts been going?
It's been good. And when you have 13 new players, so basically analytically it's shown that what can win in collegiate sports, particularly basketball, and our stuff we knew, but the analytics showed us well now, is get old, get deep, right? So that means get old players, get deep, have a lot of depth, and then you want retention. We have two of the three. We don't have a lot of retention, right?
Right.
So we don't need to focus on getting older because we got an older team. And guess what? If we're sitting around focused on getting older, I wouldn't be coaching basketball if I knew the way to change being young to old or old to young, right? We have depth. So let's work hard and do what we got to do to keep our bodies right to stay healthy. But we don't have much retention. So the only way that you can truly unite as a team is that you go through adverse circumstances together, right? I mean, the greatest team in the world is the military, right?
Right.
There's a reason why boot camp's difficult, right? I had a college coach I played for, by the way, off the subject, who said, y'all need to wear the same stuff. And it was up to me. You don't have to shave your heads, just like the military, because they're the greatest team in the world. But my point is that they got to go through a lot of adversity together right now, and so that they can bond and care about each other on a different level, right? And but I'll tell you something cool. I told this story the other day. So we're working out in Kyle Field, and it's really hard. It's difficult. But at the end of it, they had to finish their workout, and, it's running up and down, the ramps, and then it's lifting weights and doing different things. And then we finish it running up to the top of Kyle Field. Now, the top of Kyle Field, we had these cones that were set up on the football field, okay, in the middle of the football field. They're at the very top. Like, you can barely even see the football field, okay? Yeah. So, like, the football field looks like a little dot. And then these cones are in the middle in a square in Kyle Field. And that little deal looks like it's a little box, and it looks like a less than a dot, right?
Right.
And we were talking to them, And we said, do you know what that is down there? And they're like, cones, what is that? That's a basketball court. That's a basketball court. And you see how small it looks from up here? Well, guess what? The Final Four is played in a football facility. That's what they do so they can have the maximum amount of fans in there. Mm-hmm. And Texas A&M's never gone to a Final Four. And so when we go to the Final Four in time, that place is going to be flooded with maroon. Mm-hmm. It's going to be flooded. We told our players. And somebody from Snook, somebody from Huntsville, somebody from Dallas is going to go on their first flight ever. They're going to save up their money, and they may be in a seat way up here. They can't even tell if the shot's made or missed, but they just want to be there.
Right, to experience that. Mm-hmm.
They just want to be there. Mm-hmm. That's what this is, right? And so all of you get over that it's about you. Mm-hmm. This is about what we got here. And so anyway, my point is, through the hard work, you're still able to show and build a culture of what this is, right? And that's what we've been trying to do since we got here. Because if you have 13 returners, they kind of know that.
Right. Yeah.
So we're having to kind of hit all angles right now.
Yeah. Coach, what has been your favorite aspect of College Station, Aggieland in general, that you have experienced so far?
What I like about College Station is that it's a college town and that you can go a half a mile right outside Reed Arena and you see grass and green and cows and horses. Like, I love that. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm so fortunate. I told this to my mom because I'm kind of one of these, I think have some Native American blood in me somewhere. So I like being outside. I like the outdoors. I love the setup that is, hey, it's a college town, but yet it's still within nature, and the people are just so genuine and nice. And that's what I've noticed about College Station is that, and it's an easy place to live. It's an easy place to live.
Mm-hmm. I truly think College Station is the best of both worlds. You've got, it's a city. You've got access to good, decent shopping and restaurants, and there's things to do. You're not far from Houston or Austin or Dallas if you want to make a quick trip on the weekend, but it has that small town, genuine feel. And that's what I always tell people is it's the best of both worlds. You get this blended environment that's just, you can't beat it. You can't. I
agree.
How has it been in terms of the team getting to experience, Texas A&M and the tradition and the culture yet? Have y'all had a lot of conversations about that? I know Chris McDermott, he was a returner. Yeah. And maybe he's been that bridge between, A&M and kind of letting the guys that transferred in know about Texas A&M, and I'm sure they're well aware, but how has that been?
Yeah, it's been good, and we brought 11 kids in on visits, and all 11 committed. Mm-hmm. And we talked about the culture of A&M, and we've had coaches and Mitch Cole and Frank Haith and Kyle Keller had worked at A&M before, and we had players from the previous staff. Manny would always go on the recruiting visits with us. I love Manny, and he would talk about A&M. And This is a player that was coached by the previous staff, who's no longer playing a game here anymore and would help us out in recruiting visits because he believed in this place so much. That's awesome. That speaks what A&M is, right?
Right. It speaks volumes.
Yeah. And so I don't think the players, obviously they come because they see the vision of the basketball program, but we were able to sell the vision of what A&M is when you leave here.
Yeah. Man, that is just neat to know that. Shout out to Manny for staying and being a part and wanting to stay plugged in and connected. But that's what Texas A&M does to you. You come to this university, you're a part of it in some capacity, whether you coach, whether you're a professor, whether you're a student. It gets in your blood, man, and in your soul. And we're just so grateful for especially the supporters, the season ticket holders, the alumni who want to pour back into this university because the university made such a great impact on them, right? And so now, what would be, I'm curious, your perspective, Coach, on just the level of support, the facilities, the student-athlete resources that your team and that you have access to here at Texas A&M. How does it compare?
Well, Texas A&M is in the new climate of college athletics. And, you can love it or hate it, but it is what it is. I think most universities are going to have to pick and choose what they want to be good at. Mm-hmm. And Texas A&M is not one of those because of the support that literally we can be the best at everything. And I'm not just talking about athletically. I'm talking, it's not like, hey, we're going to pull away from building a new, whatever, science building or whatever. We don't have to pull away from, women's soccer to support baseball, right? A&M has the resources for that brand to be good at everything. And the supporters have just been tremendous. When we got here, some knew us, some didn't, most didn't. But it didn't take us long to feel the passion of everybody and that they really just want to help. And that's so imperative in this era that continues. It's got to continue. Well, I'm not just talking about for our program. I'm just talking about throughout, because that's what those resources make A&M unique. And I would say this to the supporters. I can't guarantee you A&M's going to win every game. I couldn't guarantee you they're going to win any game. I'm not even talking about basketball. I'm talking about any sport. But what I can tell you is with the right resources and on a bare minimum an even playing field, what that does is this. We're able to attract the right people, the right coaches, just have the right resources all the way around, that when you look at these athletes on TV or at a game and they're play so hard, and they would die on that field for this place. I mean, they would die on that field for this place because they know how much they mean to so many. And you see a team that plays harder than any team they've ever seen play and more together than any team. Win, lose, or draw, you can look at that as a supporter and say, I'm glad they're wearing Texas A&M on their shirt. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And that's really cool. And that's just talking about the athletic standpoint. Or when you walk in our facilities, you walk in the Sin Center, you say, whoa, like it's Texas A&M. And that logo's in the background. Like, by God, you're right, it's Texas A&M, man. Mm-hmm. That's special. And that's the brand that we want. And I promise you this, like our players, like I talk about what the in-game results will be for our program in time, but what we will focus on, you're going to love watching our team play in terms of the heart that they're going to play with. And I think that's what has made Aggies, right?
Absolutely.
Grinders, workers, you know, and doing special things together.
Yeah. Man, just like you said, Coach, we're just extremely grateful for every donor, every season ticket holder who has poured back, who has invested into the vision of Texas A&M and Texas A&M athletics, and who want the absolute best for our programs and for our student athletes. And so we thank you. If you're one of those who are listening right now, like genuinely thank you so much for what you do for Texas A&M athletics. And, speaking of donors, I have to ask this question, Coach. You recently worked with the 12 Man Foundation to help make some phone calls to basketball season ticket holders to encourage them to renew their basketball season tickets. How was that experience? I bet you got some really surprise responses.
And that was fun. That was fun. At first, they thought it was a prank call, but they were excited. And I tell you, the people are excited about all sports, but there's not too many places you can be in July, and they even care about basketball. Some people in July say, hey, we got football coming up, but it's on their radar, which I appreciate. And just the support, people ask, look, some people have resources that they're able to contribute at levels I'll never be able to contribute, right? And then some may not. Some may not be able to get to all the games. Some may just be able to turn it on TV. Some may just be able to wear a Texas A&M hat, in West Texas. Mm-hmm. It all matters. It all adds up. And we appreciate whatever part you play. It all adds up. And for those that are renewing their tickets, we appreciate you. For those that are unable to, for whatever reason, check us out on TV. Wear that A&M hat, and let's keep building this culture, the A&M culture, the way that has got A&M to be the brand that it is. Let's take it to another level.
Absolutely. I know everybody is just extremely excited for this season, and if there is someone listening who is interested in purchasing season tickets, they can do that through 12manfoundation.com. You can click on the tickets tab in the main menu and get you some season tickets to come watch some Bucky ball. Okay, I've got two more questions for you before we wrap up today. At this point, you've probably heard every single outsider just description of Bucky ball and what that means. But if you could tell us about one layer that maybe not a lot of people understand about your style and your tempo of game, what would it be and why?
Well, probably just a little unorthodox in that we don't necessarily do things because we just read it in a book somewhere or that someone else did it. Like we just have our own way of doing things, I guess, right, wrong, or indifferent, right? And to the average fan, what I will say is it will be entertaining. So whether I can get into the analytics of why we play a certain way, while we play fast, while we do this. I think it'll be a brand of basketball that the fans will enjoy will enjoy watching.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And then when people talk about the Bucky McMillan era, years from now, they're looking back and talking about this era and what you've done to this program, what would you hope they would say?
That we were proud that they were wearing Texas A&M on their jerseys when he was the coach of this program. Win, lose, or draw, they were Aggies out there. And what does that mean? That a team that played harder than hard, that played with tremendous courage, that at home or on the road went out there with a swagger to them. And at the end of the day, it was a team that everybody here wanted to cheer for because they represented A&M, and a team that were in the NCAA tournament that every other team on that side of the bracket says, dang, they're on our side of the bracket. I don't know what their record is, if it was great this season or not as good as last season. I sure don't like playing those guys.
Bucky McMillan on Answering the Call podcast. Coach, thank you again for the time today.
Thank y'all.
Thanks for tuning in on another episode of Answering the Call. If you're enjoying the show, please rate and follow us on your podcast streaming platform of choice so you can be the first to know when a new episode drops. As always, a big thank you to our incredible podcast producer, Megan Rohde, to 12 Man Productions, and Texas A&M Athletics NIL Department. We also extend our heartfelt gratitude to every donor and season ticket holder for always answering the call through loyal support of Texas A&M Athletics and our student athletes. We will be back soon with more content. Thanks, and gig 'em.